नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा इति पिसो भगवारहं सम्मा संबुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरिसदम्म सारथि सत्ता देव मनुष्याणां बुद्धो भगवाति नमो तस्स सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो संदिटीको अकालिको एहिपस्सिको उपनायको पच्छत्तं वेदितव्यो विन्नुहीति नमो तस्स न्यानिकस्सदम्मस्सा सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो यदिदं चत्तारि पुरिसयुगानि अट्टपुरिस पुग्गल एषा भगवतो सावक संगो आहुनेयो पाहुनेयो दक्किनेयो अंजलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यकेतं लोकस्साति नमो तस्स अट्ट अर्य पुग्गला महासंगस्सा सत्. So today's topic is like so understanding the old age. So what is that we have to understand regarding old age? Like, of course, it's inevitability. One has to go through this phase of life. This phase of life, this old age, one has to go through. It is inevitable. And the difficulties, the hardships, the old age. Generally, when we talk about old age, nowadays, especially the medical circles, they talk much about the geriatric issues. There are different branches of medical sciences which are concerned about the old age issues, old age problems, both physical health problems and also the mental health problems. Old age people, both the mind and the body, it becomes like, say, that frailty, that weakness, that deterioration. It starts both at the body level and also at the mind level. Both the mind and body, they become weak. That frailty, the deterioration, that weakening of all the factors or the fields that are concerned to the mind, the fields that are concerned to the body, they become weak. They lose the energy levels, not just energy levels, the different aspects of, say, your immunity with regard to body. So aging is like it is a truth. It is universal truth. Nobody can escape from aging, and just like a whale. When you are a kid or when you are an infant, there is a lot of physical weakness and also the mental weakness. The mind and the body, they are not yet matured, so they have their own limitations. So as the kid or the child, it starts growing, then one will start gaining energy both for the body and the mind. Not only energy, so many other abilities of the mind and body people will start. Of course, not just people, all beings. And once the person reaches youth or adulthood, then it will be maximum. And again, the deterioration starts, the weakness starts, both at the body level and also at the mind level. So many capabilities of the mind, they become weaker and weaker. The same way the body capabilities also, they become weaker and weaker. After all this, for the kids, for the infants, the parents, everybody, because of the tenderness or because of maybe that parental love, a lot of concern, generally they shower on the kids and the infants. But for the old people, generally that care and concern, it's deteriorating. It has reduced. People, they bother more about the children They bother less about the parents or the old people. But in the ancient days, it was supposed to be it usually be the opposite. The people used to care the old people. They used to respect and they used to listen to them. They used to oblige them, their words. And the kids, they were relatively not much taken care of and compared to the old people, because that was the order in the societies, in all societies all over the world. That's what was the religious, like say, advisors also, religious compulsions also, religious hierarchy also. They used to highlight uh, the superiority of the age, uh, the power of the age. Always the old people, they were respected because the religious always highlighted uh, the experience in the life used to be respected, because they have gone through the different phases of life. They are more experienced, so one should listen to them because of their experiential wisdom. They guide you, they protect you. So that was the order the previous days, the ancient days, not exactly ancient days, even just some 30, 40 years back, because that was so the societies were under the grip of religions. Even the religious, say, the societal influence, no, by the religions, like say according to the age, they have uh, segregated the beings to lead a specific kind of life. There's something called brahmacharya, like one has to follow strict disciplinary rules and learn the best things up to say at the age of 20, 25, something like that. And then grihastha, like one should take up the household life and one should perform the household duties. And then one should take up the vanaprastha. Then he should give up and he should completely involve in the religious things, the religious duties. That is what is vanaprastha. He has to simply step back from the worldly responsibilities, giving all those worldly responsibilities to the youngsters and just guide them and involve more in what is called the religious things, like meditation, like say developing more devotion and developing the mind, calming down the mind in the spiritual activities, in the religious activities. That's what vanaprastha, and then sannyasa, then letting go everything, and then like say renunciating the world and completely dedicating oneself to getting ready for the next life. How to die peacefully, how to give up the body by cultivating the mind, by calming down the mind, by controlling the mind completely. That's what was the life of sannyasa. That way, the religions, they have divided the lifespan of a person into these four stages, especially in India. And more or less, we can see this pattern in other parts of the world also, where the old people, they were given importance because they were supposed to be non-worldly. They should engage in the spiritual activities, the religious things. And once a person is in some religious pursuit and has gone through the different phases of the worldly life also, they used to be, like say, respected more, protected more by the others, by the youngsters, by the adults, by the youth. That was the order in the society, more or less, in all parts of the world. But now the things have changed. Now that very joint family system or that religious hierarchies you don't see in the societies, and because of that, old people are facing a lot of issues, because naturally they have to go through that weakness in both body and mind, and even the societal support or even the religious support, it is not up to the mark. It is not, like say, it was not as good as in the ancient days. Because of that reason, that the grip of the religions on the societies, it has weakened. So because of that reason, now the geriatric or whatever you pronounce, some people say it as geriatric, like means concerned to old people, that care in the medical fields that has taken a lot of prominence because there's something called geriatric depression. The mind, memory issues, they can't remember the things properly. Because of all these things, so many, of course, there are different kinds of diseases one has to go through in the old age. Because when the body becomes weak, then it will invite different kinds of illnesses, diseases also. Hmm. Not only physical illnesses, even the mental illnesses, not just the depression. So many other kinds of illnesses also one will start inviting when the mind also becomes weak, along with the weakness of the body. That is how the very design of the human body, as I was telling you, just like in the beginning of the life as a kid, that frailty, that weakness of the body and mind is there. The same thing will follow after your youth, after your adulthood, when you become old, like a wave. Hmm. So this one should accept. One should understand this inevitability, and one should accept it. And based on that, one should prepare for it. One should be ready for it, get ready for that kind of a phase that one has to go through inevitably without any choice. So this what wise people observed, and for that different wise people they started giving different kinds of solutions, and the religions also they understood this problem, and because of that reason again they started giving a lot of importance to the safety and the security and the protection of world people. But now because of this say, of course, the society has completely changed. The joint families based on some common professions where all the joint family members used to take up. That's gone. Each person in your family they have to look for their own jobs, their own professions, at different parts of the world or different parts of the city or different places in the same country or in the different countries also. So in that way, that social protection, societal protection, and even the protection from the religion, it is not much there in the present world. Because of that reason, now of course the doctors and the scientists also they're emphasizing on keeping the bodily activities, the activity would always like sedentary lifestyle. They're asking old people to avoid. mm, Just move the body as much as possible. So many things, so many tips they started giving with regard to food, with regard to lifestyle, with regard to some physical exercise, sociability, engage in different social activities, engage in different religious activities. Also, some people, some of course, many people they suggest uh, for the world people. But if you have not cultivated this kind of mind from the beginning, and to cultivate this and of course meditation is the master key for the world people also. If you have not designed your life from the beginning, then to learn all these things, how to be alone also you should learn, how to be meditative also you should learn. That you have not learned, then in the old age when all these problems like physical frailty, mental frailty, loneliness and all these things, when they start say ambushing you, when they start like attacking you, then people will go mad, go crazy, like they develop a lot of mental illnesses also. Because all problems will attack simultaneously. Problems for the body, for the mind, from the society, the loneliness, all these things, insecurity, all these things. So one will invite and they will attack, and then the people will say break down in all different ways. So to safeguard this kind of issues, to safeguard the world people from this kind of problems, a lot of geriatric centers are coming up, old age homes. But still, one should have some outlook from the beginning itself to prepare oneself for the old age. There's something called healthy aging. People are talking about healthy aging. Old age has its own beauty. And if you learn how to go ahead with this healthy aging, then you can appreciate the beauty of the old age also. That's what people started talking about. And of course, as I was telling you, it is better to be spiritual and religious from the beginning itself, not at the end of your lifespan. Life, and at the end of my life, I will become spiritual. I will start working on meditativeness, meditation, or spirituality. If that kind of notions, if you have, definitely 100%, you will face a lot of hardships, a lot of shocks when the body becomes weak and the mind becomes weak after 50 or 55, something like that, of retirement. Then you start facing a lot of, say, shocks, lot of this kind of mental illnesses, depression, all these problems also will start if you have not inclined yourself to spirituality. Of course, spirituality is like deriving happiness from within by oneself, not depending on the others as much as possible. So that kind of independent way of looking happiness by within within oneself. That is what is actually the spirituality. So that kind of practices, if you have maintained from the beginning, being little generous, being little like say service oriented, being little say uh, conscious of physical health, mental health, meditativeness, chantings, prayers, reading spiritual books, keeping all senses like active and alert. In all these ways, if you are training your mind, having that kind of training from the beginning, don't think that if say after retirement I should take up all these things. By that time, your inclination is not there, means then you can't train yourself these fields, these aspects. So it should start from the beginning itself. Just like you keep some savings every month for the old age, the same way you should keep training yourself in all these spiritual things, which will protect you. Of course, your savings also will protect you at the old age, but all these practices also will protect you at your old age. So that in that way, so even uh, the medical people or the medical say in the medical the medical fields and also in the religious fields, they emphasize on this. So because of that, uh, you better to train the children, even the children also. So in some of these spiritual activities, just like you train them how to earn and how to save, so that it will be helpful for their old in their old age. Same with these practices also, one should train, one should get trained, of course, and also teach the children. You should also learn, you should also get trained and teach your children to go through these kind of practices every day, and then they will help you to practice at the later part of your life also. Okay. So now, of course, we will see what Buddha's recommendation and Buddha's understanding, what he has taught. Of course, he has taught so many things about old age, and his very spiritual quest started by saying undergoing, encountering some old people. He was very healthy, very handsome, very like say very young. He was not at all like say encountered old people. That's what the scriptures say. Once when he was say roaming in the, of course, when he just went out to see the people, and when he saw one old man, then he was like one crooked body, decrepit body, and was shivering, and he was a little bit shocked whether this is like different species, some specimen from some other world, because he never knew about this old age and never saw the old people. And then she, of course, his charioteer, his servant, he tells him that he's an old man, everybody should go through this phase of suffering, of the physical weakness, also the mental weakness. One has to go through this phase in the life. Then he started thinking, oh, this is so inevitable, and this much of suffering is there. Then how should I prepare myself, and how can I help other people to prepare for this phase in the life? Then he started understanding about the importance of cultivating the mind, liberating the mind. Once I cultivate and liberate the mind, automatically I can liberate from the frailty, weakness of the body also. I can just step back and keep away myself from the suffering of this, the frailty, from the weakness of this body also. That way he can become a great meditator, and the meditativeness has become part of his life. So one of the triggers for this kind of meditative life, aspiration to liberate the mind from these cravings, from this attachment to the body and mind, that started by encountering a old person. So in that way, this is like one divine messenger. Many people say this kind of, these are like divine messengers. He's of course one sick person also, one dead person also. And all these things are like divine messengers for him. Because why they're called divine messengers? Because they triggered the true wisdom or the true aspiration that one should have in the life. Not just simply engaged 24 hours, 365 days, all the time in these worldly interactions, worldly transactions, worldly things only. That will not really help us to go through this phase of life, especially the old age, the decrepit, this when the body becomes decrepit and the death. During that phase of life, these worldly accumulations will never help us. So that kind of wisdom it triggered in his mind by encountering a old person. Hmm? And in that way, of course, he encouraged many people also to contemplate about the old age and to and realizing its inevitability. What I have to do now. Hmm? What is the first priority in the life? So that kind of contemplation, that kind of wisdom arose, and of course, in millions of people. uh, and that has become a trigger for millions of the people to become more meditative, more spiritual, more mind oriented, more purity oriented, mind, more virtue oriented, more punya oriented, not simply accumulating the worldly things. That is neither a life of punya, life of virtue, it is neither a life of merits. It is simply inviting more and more problems only. The art of letting go, the art of meditativeness, the art of mindfulness, all these things actually they are rooted in this understanding of this inevitability of this kind of suffering that one has to go through for the later parts of the life. That should definitely trigger even a person with some minimum sense, minimum knowledge, minimum wisdom. It will trigger. So to just curb. People are say puffed up with so many kinds of egos, many kinds of prides. The pride of health, the pride of wealth, the pride of youth, yavanamada, arogyamada, dhanamada, all these different kinds of powers. It comes because of the physical fitness that or this, the beauty that the attractiveness that one will have towards his body, that and the ego or the pride or the proudness that one will say uh, will have because of this healthy body, strong body, attractive body, which sooner or later becomes like weak, unattractive, repulsive, uh, and loses all energy. So to curb that kind of ego, which will again that ego or that prideness or that proudness, it will invite a lot of that. Very ego is actually ignorance. That will invite a lot of other cravings, other ambitions, other domination, other hatred, other jealousy, everything it will invite. And people get trapped in the loop of these defilements only. Once you are so much proud of this, the health, the power, the beauty, the attraction, the strength of the body, then the ego, which is the biggest ignorance, of course, which is the ignorance, That again invites a lot of cravings, a lot of other defilements like hatred, jealousy, all these things. Then you get trapped in this loop of defilements only. You can't come out of this loop of defilement when you have so much attachment for the strength and the attraction of the young body. So, one incident happened during the life of Buddha. One queen, she was so proud, she was so puffed up with this her youth, her beauty. It happened in the case of one of his relatives and also one of the queens. The same thing happened. And how Buddha curbed that ego or that prideness of that lady, of the proudness of that queen. So he created one beautiful young girl of some 16 years age, and she was fanning Buddha. That young girl can be seen only by that queen, who is like spoiled, who is lot of attachment to her beauty, her youth, her attractiveness of the body. So she was very wise, and she was seen by only that queen, this created image of one young girl. And when she is looking at that, and she developed, oh, she is far, far superior in her youth and attraction than me. So that kind of uh, appreciation, it started in her mind. But when she started looking at that girl, she became old. Within a few minutes, she became like, she was looking like some 20 years old girl. And again, in 1 or 2 minutes, she was looking like some 25, 30 years. So within a few minutes, that was actually the supernormal, his supernormal power. Buddha created that kind of situation there that can be seen by only this lady, this queen. And within a few minutes, she became old and she became so repulsive, her body and all. And by looking at this, became very weak, not stand also. She fell down and she started, say, urinating and all, say. So she could not control her say, bowels or say urine also. So that kind of image when he created, then all that uh, pride that she had, that proudness that she had towards her body, towards the strength of the body, the beauty of the body, that's gone from the mind of this queen, and she became an arahant actually, the wisest arahant, because that is the wisdom that triggered in her mind that this body is like we can't depend on this body, can't depend on this all attractions of this body, the energies, the powers of this body. I have to lose these things. Now it is my duty to work on the mind, develop the mind, purify the mind, liberate the mind. So as I progress in this, automatically my dependence on the body also will go away. That kind of wisdom triggered in the mind of this queen, and she became one very wisest arahant among all the women. She became the wisest arahant. So in that way, the inevitability of old age, if somebody can correctly perceive, then it will put him or put her in the right track of mind development, of mind purification, mind liberation, which will give each and every step, each and every uh, say meditative step. He will derive the true happiness, true liberation, true wisdom, true freedom. So that is the importance of understanding the inevitability of old age. Hmm. And of course, so it can't be like, say, we can't compel everyone to say become an arahant by completely working on the purification of the mind. Again, Buddha, he gives like the importance of using whatever strengths you have for the body for some right things, and prepare yourself both materialistically and spiritually also for the old age. So once one one millionaire. His name was Mahadana. He was very unskillful, though his parents and his wife's parents were also very rich. Uh, they inherited a lot of wealth from the parents and the parents-in-law. But so he was so unskillful in any of the worldly arts or worldly professions, and he was like spendthrift. He spent all the money of his parents, of parents-in-law, both husband and wife. They spent money for some unnecessary things, for uh, taking alcohol and spending in some bad habits, all this money, and they became beggars. Both of them, they became beggars. And Buddha, when he saw them, then he tells his disciples, you see, this person is so wise by birth. If he had become, like, say, he had focused on spirituality, he would have become an arahant. In the very first stage of his life, if he had focused on spirituality, he would have become arahant. Or if he had focused on his business profession, he would have become a multi-millionaire, number one millionaire in this city. At least in the second part of his youth, say around, say, after some 35, 40 years, if he would have realized about the purpose of life, of purifying the mind, developing the mind, he would have become like Anagami, second stage of, say, wisdom, he would have achieved. Or if he had engaged in his business, because he is so wise person by birth itself, he would have become one of the top millionaires of the city. He ignored both. He ignored both developing the skills in his profession, in his business, and accumulating wealth. That also he ignored, and he ignored the spiritual growth also. Because of ignoring both, now he is ruined. He has become a beggar. So, in that way, he emphasizes these two goals for everyone. One should work spiritually also, get prepared for the old age, because when your body is weak, then your mind should be quite peaceful and strong. The senses and the mind, senses also become weak. The mind should be quite, definitely it can be kept strong, can be kept peaceful when you are working on this mind spiritually. At the same time, you should use all your intellectual skills, your body also, your physical and intellectual skills to accumulate wealth, to make wealth. So he never ignored, Buddha never ignored. In the name of spirituality, one should ignore the worldly things, materialism. Some spiritual masters, they completely focus on spirituality, ignoring the materialistic growth and materialistic, um, say, hard work. One should make use of his body and mind to achieve success in materialistic progress also. That's what Buddha emphasizes for the lay people. So both one should take up. Then they will, the wealth that you have accumulated and the spiritual wealth that you have accumulated, they will protect you in your old age. So one should cultivate both these spiritual things like generosity, morality, meditation, service, and listening to Dhamma, listening to this kind of nice things of cultivating the mind. And of course, respecting the respectables, respecting the elders, departed people, divine beings. All these things, integrated development one should have, accrue merits, and those merits will act as, like, say, like a like a fixed deposit at the old age. And of course, even your wealth also that you have accumulated, you have earned in your youth, they also protect you at the old age. If you don't uh, cultivate or accumulate these two wealths, the spiritual wealth and the materialistic wealth, then what will happen to you? You will say, Buddha gives some analogy also. You will be ruined in your old age. So he gives the two verses. They who in youth have neither led the life of purity, that means like not cultivated the mind properly, nor have acquired wealth by hard working, by skillful working, hard working. If they have ignored their youth for spiritual progress and also for the worldly materialistic progress, they waste away in dejection like decrepit herons on a drying pond deplete of fish. Herons, like some birds which are dependent on the fishes. The old herons, when the pond is dry, there are no more fishes. Then they will die with hunger and say with suffering. These herons. So in that way, one will die if you don't accumulate the physical necessities which can be achieved, which can be obtained by wealth, and also the spiritual say necessities which you have not accumulated from your youth. If you have not worked on it, like generosity, like morality, like meditation, meditative, like service, and progressing in learning and practicing these Dhamma, respecting the respectables, being grateful, all these just things, spiritual things, if you have not cultivated, then you die like this heron in a dry pond where there are no fish, like an old heron, so you will also die. Again, he says, they who in youth have neither led the life of purity nor have acquired wealth lie helplessly like arrows that have lost momentum, moaning and sighing after the past. If the arrows, they don't have momentum, they will fall here only. They don't reach the goal. In the same way, if you have not cultivated and accumulated the spiritual wealth and the materialistic wealth for your old age, properly using your intelligence either to acquire wealth, physical wealth, materialistic wealth, and also by practicing these meritorious actions. If you have not accumulated the spiritual wealth, then you will not reach the goal of happiness. You will fall like the arrows which have lost the momentum. You will fall here only. Means like you will die a miserable death. So in that way, Buddha also warns. Not only he talks about the suffering of old age, he talks about how to prepare oneself for the old age, both materialistically and also spiritually by practicing different spiritual practices, the meritorious actions. So that in that way, that is the suggestion or the instruction of Buddha. So in one of the verses he has mentioned, and also the same one of the verses he has mentioned about this kind of the jara. Jara means like the old age and frailty of the body and the mind. They become weak. So one should keep this in the mind. One should have this forethought about the old age and death, and accordingly, one should design his life so that he will not waste his life unnecessary essential things and forgetting about say accumulating the physical wealth and also spiritual wealth, which will act as say some kind of uh, insurance. They will act as insurance at your old age. So householders the different ways and means to have the materialistic wealth at the after retirement and old age. But what we have to learn uh, so from these spiritual talks should also accumulate the spiritual wealth. You should accumulate the merits. You should accrue merits by practicing all these 10 meritorious actions, and they will be like your insurance, spiritual insurance at the old age. They will protect you, your mind, your body, the suffering of the mind, suffering of the body. If you have this merits, the spiritual insurance, if you have, we can't change. Some people very childishly So we can face some childish people. They think that they can remain youthful until their death. Not possible. They remain strong until their death. Not possible. However, you may be a, a let us say uh, you are doing workout or you are maintaining your body very well, or you are doing a lot of yoga, you have a lot of control on your breathing, on your body. But old age is old age. It will not leave anybody from the from its core nature. The characteristic of old age is like squeezing away the energy, both from the body, from the senses, and from the mind, from the intellectual abilities. You lose memory, you lose a lot of intellectual abilities. So that is what is the nature of old age. But if you have prepared yourself from the beginning, from the childhood, from the youth, or wherever you are now, from this point itself, when if you prepare yourself um, in all these meritorious actions, spiritual wealth, then they will be your real spiritual insurance for you at the old age. Then one can gracefully, one can age and gracefully die, and one can have that what is called that healthy aging. It's not just the health that you gain from your medicines or from the doctors. It is that you have to gain by yourself by practicing many spiritual things also, like the different things that many of you are going through learning, like these meritorious actions, and also the different right view meditations that many people are learning. So all these different right view meditations, like for example, all this sensation meditation, sound meditation, and the meditation for this nose sense, tongue sense, body sense, touch sense, all these five senses and mind sense. If you are practicing all this sense awareness, right for meditation, then your senses will be relatively alert, active, sharp, even during your old age. And especially if you have reached some kind of mind sense awareness, then though these physical senses they may become a little weak, when you can maintain that mind sense awareness, that is good enough to protect you and to keep your balance, keep your calmness, keep the mental peace at old age. That's what is all the exercise that we are doing in designing all these different levels of meditation. And if we can maintain these pure feelings, matured and very, very superior feelings like Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka, and if we can maintain still these different factors of confidence, Chanda, Virya, Chitta, Vimamsa, like the different things that you are learning, this right to meditation. And if you have that very clarity in what is permanent, what is impermanent, what is happiness, what is suffering, what is attractive, what is repulsive, what is soul, what is self, what is not self. So these different kinds of perceptions, different kinds of confidence factors, different kinds of wholesome feelings, different kinds of awareness for all the senses, and of course, mind-body coordination and keeping the mind sense as much powerful, awake, aware, then these things definitely will protect you at the old age because these are nothing but the matured, very, very matured spiritual qualities. Of course, we use the word spiritual qualities, but these are nothing but the four faculties of the mind only. And if these four faculties of the mind are developed, then these developed faculties will protect you. You want to step back from this body and gracefully how to view this body, how to face old age, the physical weaknesses, how to face, you will learn because the mind has developed. Mind has learned how to handle this weak body. That way, don't ignore this the higher goals of the life like liberation and all. Always keep these kind of higher goals, liberation, and based on that, cultivate all these four faculties of the mind. Then this kind of cultivated faculties of the mind will help you to handle the body more authoritative way. If whether it is the body is decrepit, whether you have to give up the body, all these final phases of the life, definitely your matured mind, you this uh, developed mind, this spiritual insurance, it will help you, it will protect you, and it will come to your rescue. Okay, so that is what is like our say discussion on this old age. And of course, there are so many other dimensions, other so many suttas or so many things Buddha has given about old age. Everything is burning. Once some abandoned women, they're simply squandering their wealth, their time, dancing, singing, taking alcohol. Mm. And then he created some darkness with his supernormal power. And they developed some kind of fear about their own bodies. About the darkness gives some fear of lost somewhere. We have lost something, that kind of fear, that scariness will develop. Then they come to their senses. So that scariness, that fear of death, fear of old age, it will bring your senses to the present moment. There are such people who are just carried away, not being bothered about the fear of death, the fear of old age. They only get carried away in all the nonsense of the sensual things. Once this kind of, it's some kind of fear, this is again a good fear. The good fear about death, the good fear about the old age, if that is there in your mind, so that will protect you, that will make you to understand the priorities in the life. And you will start working on what is called this, the first priority of cultivating the mind, calming down the mind, developing this kind of, say, superior goals in the life, that is liberating the mind. So these superior goals, higher aspects of life, you will start working and you will start prioritizing those things. So in that way, to help the people to understand what is true happiness, what is like the priority that one should look into. You have so many options now. Each and every moment, all of us, we have so many options. Because of our ignorance, we take wrong options. We enter into wrong priorities, wrong preferences, and we get trapped in it. And we completely say ignore say this kind of spiritual wealth and the materialistic wealth that we have to have and we have to keep as insurance the old age, that we ignore. That way, understanding the priorities about not just being scared of old age, not being upset of old age. No, that is not the point. One should understand the inevitability of old age and with smile, with wisdom. So, what best I should do now so that I can be happy now, at the same time, I can be happy later at the old age also. That kind of wisdom, if these thoughts of old age, the inevitability of old age, suffering of old age, if it gives you, then you need not be scary. You need not be afraid of old age. One can gracefully become old. Healthy aging will happen. Happily, one can become old. One can appreciate even the beauty of old age. Once you have understood about the priorities and working on those priorities, like these things, like meritorious actions, like purifying the mind, these things are very clear. Then one can appreciate the beauty of old age. One can gracefully uh, become old. One can take up this healthy aging. One can go through this healthy aging. That is what is the correct understanding of the old age. Okay. I think that much is enough for today. If you have some questions, you can ask, and then
Namaste, Guruji.
yes,
There's a question from Shruti Joshi, ma'am, Guruji. Vandami Banteji, it said that there is one yogi, Baba Maharaj Avatar, staying in Himalaya in caves since 2000 years. And those who saw him said he looks still young. Is it really possible by power of meditation and spirituality? Because body's nature is to aging and decay.
Yeah, some people say one can live long. I'm sure, but one can live long. But living for so many years, thousands of years, I don't know. And the law of the nature is like, as I told you, like a wave. The human lifespan, it has its own span, So in some eras, now the lifespan is around some 80 years, let us say 70 to 80. During the time of, say, Buddha, so they say it was 100 years. And little more ancient times. See, the lifespan was like, say, even 200 years. And in the scriptures, it is mentioned, both in, say, Buddhist scriptures and in Hindu scriptures, and in so many other religious scriptures also. So the lifespan actually it goes up to 1 lakh years. 1 lakh, 100,000 years also it will go. That's it. That is the human lifespan. The human body has its own limitations, just like I used to say, like an auto is an auto, a bus is a bus, a train is a train. You can't make an auto into a bus into a train. You can't fit in so many hundreds of people in an auto or in a bus. But in a train, it is possible. The same way, each plane of existence, like human plane of existence, it has its own limitation, especially again based on the era, on the time, Kala Niyama. So in the divine realms, it is like lakhs of years, millions of years. In Brahmic realms, it is like kalpas, billions of years. So this is the nature of these different realms. For the animals, like say for dogs, it should be around 20 years only. If we can't say that we can do something and we can, it is my puppy. So you can see that this my pet dog. It should live for 100 years as much as I live. No, has to die around 20-25 years. An elephant may die up to 200 years, but a dog has to die around 25-30 years maximum, or even less than that. So in that way, each species has its own lifespan. With meditation, little bit you can extend. The great meditator like Buddha, he has to give up his body at the age of 80 itself. And of course, if you can use some of these meditative powers just to sustain your body, just to maintain the life force of the body, one can do that. But again, it's not like required. It's again like a pressure. For all the very four noble truths, they say having this body itself is a burden. It's a pressure. It's like kind of a luggage. It's a burden. Unnecessarily, you have to take care of it. The lifespan is over. It's better to give up the body with some meditative powers. I want to hold on to this body. Then all your meditative power, all your energy will be spent only on protecting the body, maintaining that life force of the body. What is the use? Either you are enjoying that spiritual bliss of liberation, freedom from the body, nor you are helping others to learn this different art and science of that transcending the body or cultivating the mind. No, different yogis, they may be having different intentions, but the true intention, the right view of about this old age, about this lifespan is like say understanding this, like this lifespan is or the abilities of the body are like this wave, just like this doom-shaped wave. Initially, it is weak. It gets some strength, then you become little, say, older, like say 20 or 15 years, 20 years, become stronger and stronger. And again, it becomes weak. That is the nature of this body, this human body. So, if that is the limitation of this human body, let me work on protecting this body as much as possible. And rest of the time, let me work on my mind, purify my mind, liberate my mind. Because this very accumulation, taking this body and mind itself is like a burden. Repeated births is a burden. Having this body and mind is a burden. Sankitena panchupadana khanda dukkha. In brief, having these four faculties of the mind and one faculty of body, bearing this is a burden. Having this is a burden. This itself is a dukkha, existential dukkha, suffering. If that is the nature of this body and mind, and holding on to this body with some means, like, of course, even in the science also, they are doing so many experiments to increase the lifespan. But it's again one foolish way of looking for happiness. In the same way, with some yogic science also, if you can protect the body and have a longer lifespan, it's again like not like not useful, because this very body and mind, possessing it, holding on to it, carrying it, is a burden, and it's like the existential suffering. On all your intelligence, all your abilities, abilities. So one should design and should make use of them in such a way that how to lead a very happy, graceful life at your youth also, and also at your old age, your old age also. How this matured mind will help me to take care of the body without much struggle, without much. At the same time, to give up this body also is equally important. Gracefully, mindfully, joyfully, to give up this body is also equally important. Holding on to it once its expiry is over, it's like a burden. Anything whose expiry is over, like when any vehicle you have, if you are using it, its expiry is over, then again and again it creates some problem. It comes for a repair. Same thing with the body also. If that aspiration is there, then whatever yogic powers you have, medical, the scientific powers, knowledge you have, you don't waste them on maintaining the body. Simply again, troublesome thing, a troublesome, say, usage of your energies, your intelligence. One should be graceful in handling the body, in living the body. So of course, there may be some yogic sciences, yogic. After all, even the medical sciences, they are coming out with some techniques of having a longer lifespan. Definitely, yogic sciences also. Probably many yogic sciences are also around these life forces. If you can fix or develop or improvise some of these life forces, definitely you can live longer. But for what? What for? You have to have this whole body. That is the question. Okay. Next, any other?
Namaste, Banteji. Next question is from Dharmika Banteji.
Hmm?
She's asking Vandami Bante in this era. Dharmika Banteji.
Dharmika.
Yes, Banteji.
Okay.
Vandami Bante, in this era, children are highly demanding as they require too many things to survive, and very old parents who continue to live because of medical facilities. It's very difficult to survive our old age. Please advise.
The youngsters are simply wasting the resources on some unnecessary things, and the old people are having the lack of resources even for some medicines at the old age. How to handle this? That is what is the question, right? Is that the question?
Yes, Guruji. Um, saying very old parents.
Can you send it here in the chat box?
Yes, yes, Bante.
Yeah, it's something like that, her question. That's what I was telling you, know. You have to, so as that Mahadana, so one should keep some wealth for your old age, not giving everything to your children. You should give a part, of course, you should give a part of your wealth to your children, a part should give to, of course, for gaining some merits, for some suitable purposes you should spend and gain some merits, and also a part of the wealth you should keep for the old age. Then that resources, those things you can uh, use during the time of emergency, the old age. So yeah, the world is like that only. Not only children, everyone, even the children also. They are demanding. They want parents. They take care of them, engage. When they were kids, infants, when they were in the womb. From that time they take care, but still they are demanding. Even the people when the old people are dying, the parents are dying. At that time also they demand. That's how this world is. But one should have one's own wisdom. Out of my children, they are asking, I give everything to them. That is foolishness. In this era, children are highly demanding as they require too many things to survive, and very old parents who continue to live because of medical facilities. It's very difficult to survive our old age. Yeah, you should see that. Take care of your children till they get some maturity. Then after that, it is their life. Actually, from the beginning itself, one should teach the children how to become independent, self-dependent, less demanding. Simply teaching them science, mathematics. That's how the world is busy in the name of education. They don't teach these some of these values in the life. That's why they become more demanding and they squeeze you. So when if you are virtuous, if you are cultivating some of these values, some of these morals in the life, like how to be little generous, how to be supporting, how to be caring, how to respect the elders, your parents, your elders, if you are respecting, caring and supporting, then your children also will follow you and they also learn how to care you, care, respect you, not to be like not demanding. Those values also they will also learn. If you are foolishly simply think that the education is only this, sending them to some great big schools by giving a lot of donation, and then making them wealthy, and whenever they ask, simply giving without any discretion, without any sense. Whatever they ask, they are my children, I should give, it is my duty. That way some notions are there. Based on that, they simply keep on listening to their children, and whenever whatever they ask, keep giving. If that kind of mindset you have built in your children, then they will continue. They maintain the same thing, and the same mindset will continue till you die. At the time of dying, also the deathbed, also they will be in that demanding mode only. Their minds cultivate this giving mode. You also practice. That is what is actually spirituality. Spirituality is how best I can give, how best I can give in my profession, in my in the society, to develop these morals or values, spiritual, spiritual insurance kind of thing. These things, if you are practicing, if you are not demanding, and if you are helping and caring your seniors, your elders, your parents, and the same thing if you teach your children. That's why I told all our meditators, coordinators to attend this kind of Dhamma talks and listen to this kind of Dhamma talks and learn some of these spiritual values of this art of giving, art of sharing, art of caring, art of respecting, art of self-dependence, art of say hard working, art of this say skillfulness, all these things in work, in service, in caring, respecting, and learning all these meritorious actions like generosity, morality, meditation, mind culture, attending this kind of meditation programs, all these things you should do. You should become like role models for your children. If you are leading very some kind of stingy, some kind of materialistic life and demanding life, they also follow you. They too will become demanding and they squeeze you. That way, that is what is spirituality. In the name of development, in the name of progress and growth and science, people are crazily behind this rat race of showing off and making money and wealth, completely forgetting about the other side of the coin. That what is the true happiness, what is mind culture, what is keeping the mind balanced, the meditativeness, cultivating uh, the greater virtues or the greater factors of the mind, superior factors of the mind. If these things are ignored, and at the time of the old age, if you keep on worrying, oh, this we have not done, our children are not doing this and that. Then, as I told you, I gave the analogy, no? So, like a heron, it will die some miserable death without having the accumulated physical wealth and also spiritual wealth. So, you will also die miserably, like that heron, that bird is there in a dry pond without fish. To have this spiritual wealth by practicing all these spiritual values. And then you can tell them, you see, I led the life like this. You too should be independent. You too should not be demanding. I never had this life of say, demanding others. You too should lead. In that way, you will have that moral courage to tell your children not to ask, not to demand, not to squeeze from you. So attend these spiritual classes, maintains this kind of mental balance, cultivate even no age is not like say is like say uh, it's not you can't say that I am now old, now I'm not, it's not suitable for me to practice spirituality or meditation. If that kind of mindset you have, then you have to suffer all these things. Now you start working on your mind, even though if you are old, start developing uh, your mind by practicing these different type of meditations and start practicing these meritorious actions. Then you can tell your children also what you should do. Then automatically their demanding nature will reduce and they become more cooperative, supportive. That is the only way. Okay. Any other thing?
No more questions, Bandhaj.
नमो तस्सा भगवतो अर्हतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्सा भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वबुद्धानुभावेन सर्वधर्मानुभावेन सर्वसङ्घानुभावेन सदा सोति भवन्तु ते सुखी भवेयन्निदुःखो अहं निच्चा अहं विया इदा च मे सुखी होन्तु मा जता चतवेदिनो मामि गम्मन्ते धम्मे तत्त होन्तु सुखी सदा ततो परं चारज्येषु चक्रवालेषु जन्तनो साधु 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 सुखी होन्तु मंगल हो. May all of you understand some of these laws of the nature. Old age is inevitable, death is inevitable. So let me make use of the best at this moment by doing the best. Let me cultivate my mind. That is the best priority. That is the first priority. In addition to using all my skills to earn wealth, to earn spiritual wealth, let me do my best. In that way, if you focus on this moment and give all this your abilities to this moment, then you get both spiritual wealth and materialistic wealth, which will act like the insurance at your old age. And the same mindset also will protect you in your old age. Okay. Sadhu, Sukhi, Mangal.